Hello, everybody. We are going to be doing more Prime Day stuff. And now we are going to go and do some really, really fun things. My room is crazy because I did a lot of baking this weekend. So we're going to be actually going over some bakeware, but we have to wait for our Amazon Live people. Let me get the banner up so that you guys know where to go. If you are on other places, then you'll know exactly where to go to find all of these things. All right. So I think we are now live on Amazon Live. We are now going to be doing some Halloween, creepy, baking, bakeware, all of that stuff. In fact, we're using some Nordic ware stuff, and a lot of this stuff, well, not a lot. Well, actually, a lot of it is on sale. But from what I remember, we do have at least one item that is a Prime Day item, so you can prepare for Halloween, or honestly, I'll give you other ideas of what to use these for. But let me get started. Like I said, it might take me a little bit to get these things organized because it is Nordic baking trays and there's a lot of them. So hold up. All right. So the first one I want to share with you today, excuse my mess behind this. You don't get to see it. So the first thing I want to share with you guys is these are skull bites. Skull bites. It actually says on the top here, skull bites. These are really cool and adorable skull baking trays. So the cool thing about Nordic ware is it's heavy duty. This is going to last a lifetime. I believe this is aluminum, but it's also, I'm trying to remember what it's coated with because it's got clearly that awesome shine. Again, it's super heavy. So some of the uses for this, obviously you can melt chocolate. That would be super cool. I made cakes. So I did list here in my carousel down below all of the cake mixes. So because I didn't. Not on this one. I am so sorry. I did not. So what I used are actually box mixes because I wanted to make it a lot easier on myself and my soul. So let me share with you how these turned out. All right, so I have a tiny, cute little bowl here of my awesome little bakes. So these are kind of how these turned out. And I do like these for cakes. I think these are really great, especially if you're somebody that likes little samples and you want to sample all these little cakes and stuff for Halloween. Or some ideas I had were like if you're a nursing graduate and you're like done with nursing school, these are kind of fun and a little morbid, or even doctors. You could do a pirate party with these. I think it would be better to use a darker, so like a chocolate or red velvet color for these because it's hard to tell how these are shaped and without getting that dark depth. The yellow just is super bright, but it's really cute. So they turned out fine. They baked really fast. So that's something to be careful of with this particular baking tray because it is so small. Definitely keep an eye on it because I burned my first set of these. I was like, oh no, because I was so used to baking some of the bigger ones. These are pretty fun, pretty great. You can have a whole host of different mixes. This is great for kids' parties and whatnot because you can have, here's all your vanillas and chocolates because every kid, I swear, is divided. You either have a chocolate kid or you've got a vanilla liking kid, and they're all like, there's never like somebody that likes both of them, I swear. So it's nice to have smaller bite-sized things, and kids also they don't necessarily need the big cake. So here's this. It's really cool. But let's go on to the one that I like the most. I think this is probably the best baking tray that I have. It's not a Prime Day deal, but it is on sale. And it's so fun, but it's huge. So hold on a second. Okay. All right. This is super cool. Super fun. I got powder on it. I'm sorry. So again, this is really cool. It sits up actually like this. So you can see it's flat on the bottom here. It actually bakes in two pieces so you can frost it and smack them together and have one giant face on your, platter. You could put you could put all the little tiny skull bites and surround your big skull with little baby ones if you wanted to. So I made a big cake, and I made a strawberry and lemon mix cake. I used 2 boxes. You need 2 boxes. This holds, it actually says here, I know there's powder on it, but on all of these Nordic baking trays, it does tell you how many fluid ounces you will actually need for each of these. It's really helpful for when you're trying to do the math and you've already got a box mix or something and you're trying to see, like for this one, I needed 2 boxes. 1 box was definitely not enough. So this says it requires 9 cups. It's a crazy amount. So it's really cool. And let me show you how it turned out. It's pretty fun. So hold on a second. It's huge. It's really hefty. Okay. And I put saran wrap on it. I didn't want to waste my cakes, so I'm giving them to some friends later on today. But look at it. It turned out so good. So I apologize if you guys end up commenting down in the comment section. Amazon Prime is crazy right now. So I did not see any of my comments in the last stream that I did. So if I don't end up saying anything, I apologize. It's probably because I can't see it. But make sure to comment down below. Let me know where you're watching from and what kind of baked goods you're looking for. Sorry. Okay, so here's this guy. I did not anticipate that I would have such a fleshy color cake. It was not planned, I promise. But it turns out pretty great. This is why I think this would be really fun for if you did have like a doctor in your family or a nurse and they were just graduating school. You could actually, because it's so big, you could make it have frosted in a way where you can actually see the muscular structure or whatever. If you wanted to get really grim with it, you can make it a pirate themed. Like I said, this would be really fun to place on top of like a treasure chest cake or something. One thing that's cool, you can kind of see back here, because it's flat and 2 pieces, you can actually fill this with like candy. You can fill it with like chocolate syrup. Somebody can cut it open, it'll ooze something out. It makes it really easy to do something like that, so you don't have to kind of maneuver everything together. I know sometimes with bakes that can be a huge hassle, and the detail on this is so fun. So one thing to note too, I'm going to put this somewhere. I'm not sure where anymore. Okay, hold on. Okay. So one thing to note with that particular baking, so with this particular cake pan, is I set the cake on a lower temperature just because it is really, really deep. And I didn't want my cake to burn, and it was perfect. So I usually cakes, at least the box mixes that I was using, it suggested 350. I actually did 325, and then I kind of covered it with some aluminum foil midway through the bake, and that was perfect. It didn't overbake, it didn't burn. So that's something to keep in mind. These are really deep. It's not like a sheet cake where it'll cook a little more evenly. So just keep that in mind when you do bake with something like this, something really hefty and round. Also, something to note, I had to cut the top of the cake off. It kind of had like a little muffin top. And to get it to actually place together, you have to make sure it's flat. So just cut off the top when it's like a little bit warm, and it'll be easy to place together. And you can make a giant, awesome skull cake for really any kind of celebration you want. Just be creative with it. I think there's so many uses for this. It's not just for Halloween, but I would love to do this for Halloween. So definitely check these ones out. But I'm going to share with you the Amazon Prime deal for today. And these are, excuse me, I don't have my glasses. So, and my room is crazy, so I'm trying to find all my baked pans. Here it is. All right, so this one's really cool. So if you're not into a giant skull cake, I totally get it. Why would you use it? It can be a little cumbersome and if you have less storage space. But if you want something really cool, but also really spooky, here are these. And these are a Prime Day deal. I was so surprised at how these turned out. So I have some baked goods to share with you. I have a bunch of suggestions also for these. So somebody suggested using these as chocolate. So you can actually make some giant fudge or just solid chocolate melts in here and pop them out. Obviously, these are massive, but if you probably could do it. You could also use these as Rice Krispie treat formers. So you just make your mix and then just shove them in there, and you'll have a really cool skull looking Rice Krispie treat, which would be great for Halloween or really, any kind of celebration. You could decorate the Rice Krispie treat. You can use like Fruity Pebbles or Cocoa Pebbles would be cool. Lots of stuff. Something I want to try, and I'm a little scared, but I'll do it anyway. I want to try to do like a cinnamon roll. I'm wondering if you could like roll the cinnamon roll up and kind of place it, stick it in there, and maybe have like a really cool spiral looking skull in here. That would be fun. So there's a lot of uses for this. And again, you could do like a pirate party. You can do a celebration for nursing students or a doctoral program. You could do obviously Halloween, zombie parties. You could do, if you're really morbid, a like 50, turning 50 years old or whatever, even a 30-year-old party. Maybe I should do this for my sister. It's her 30th birthday this year. And she gave me a lot of stuff for my 30th birthday. And I think it's her turn now. But you could do you could do whatever you want with these. They're pretty fun. So check it out. These are the Amazon deals today. Let me share with you what I baked with them. It's going to take a couple seconds because I need to grab everything. So here we go. So here I made like a cute little lemon cake using the Amazon Prime deal cake thingy. You can see the details pretty good. You can even see the teeth. I'm kind of impressed. What do you guys think? I actually was able to even fill it pretty well where I didn't need to cut the back off. These would be kind of fun. Obviously these would be fun to decorate. So you can dip them in a chocolate or something or a frosting. You could actually pipe, really interesting details. It'd be fun to do something for like Dia de los Muertos. You can do like a sugar skull design if you wanted to. I did also bake another thing. Let's see. So here is this one. This I used red velvet instead of the lemon cake. And this one looks a little more pocketed, which is fine. It kind of gives it that aged look, which is, I kind of think that's pretty cool. You could do, another thing that would be really cool for this is like if you have a friend who's an anthropology or archaeology major, you can do something like this, have like a dig. You can have people actually try to find candy or cake skulls and like a really fun cake if you wanted to. There's a lot of ideas for these cake pans. You just need to be creative. Obviously, Halloween is kind of a giveaway, but there again, like for multi-purposes, not everybody has space for these kinds of trays. So finding ways of being creative and utilizing these things is over and over again rather than one time a year, I think is super important. So here's that. And I'll just show you guys the pan really quick. Again, it's really cool. So this is the Prime Day deal, Bakeware. Here's what it looks like. It comes out pretty well. I think they did a really good job. And it's a single serve cake. Pretty solid. I really dig it. Super cool. So the next one I want to share with you guys. Let's see. All right. So this one is, this one I didn't do as well with my bake, but it's cool anyway. So it is, this is by, let's see if I can read, Wilton, I believe. And these are really cool. So I love how flat it is. So I basically tried to make a brownie. I thought this would be the perfect shape for a brownie. Unfortunately, my brownie didn't turn out as good as I wanted it to. So it'd be great for cakes if you want something super easy. And then again, with that sugar skull thing, you can totally make, because they're really flat, it'd be super easy to pipe and do a sugar skull project. I think that'd be great for a Halloween task with your kids, and you can do so many cool things with it. So let me show you how it actually turned out with the brownies real quick. I bet you somebody with a better baking skills could probably get a better brownie out of this. I don't know why I didn't do well with the brownie, but let me show it to you. I'll show you guys my success and a bit of my fail. So here's my failed brownie. It was really hard to pop them out of the tray. I tried my best, but it was kind of a struggle, to be honest. And I didn't think it would be. It's kind of a short, shallow pan. Here is my brownie success. And that even is kind of a barely success. You could patch it up with some, if you got the remaining cake and patched it up, and you can still frost it and make it really cool if you wanted to. It's still obviously a skull brownie. You can still tell. So let me just share with you guys again the pan. Okay, because I know a lot of you are trying to find some cool baking activities for Halloween. I used a lot of box mixes to make my life easier as I baked all of these baked goods for today. But they're very, very cool. And again, I would totally do sugar skulls. This would be great for pirates again. I would love to do this with a skull and crossbone. That'd be fun. But yeah, these are super cool, super easy. Rice Krispie treats, I think, are a brilliant idea. You could do savory bakes as well. Muffins, you could do all kinds of stuff. So let me share with you guys the next baking tray I have. All of my brownies ended up kind of not doing what I wanted them to do. They got stuck in the pans. So I greased them really, really well. So here I will share with you the other thing I got. Okay. So here is one of my brownie projects. This is gluten-free. So I have a lot of friends who are gluten-free, and I forgot to place all my boxed goods into the carousel. I apologize, but I can share with you what I did use. Here, I'll pull it up just because. So I use like Duncan Hines, and I use Betty Crocker for a lot of my gluten-free stuff, just because it's a lot. It's cheaper. It's easy to whip it together. And Betty Crocker's brownies are super good. There's no reason to bake from scratch if you've got something that's really easy and it's like $2. So check those out. But as you can tell, the brownie is still in the pan. I tried really hard to get this out of the pan. It was not happening. I don't know if it's because there's just a lot of things going on here and it's easy to kind of break apart. But one thing you can do, I recommend using a cake mix for this so that you can pop it out. You could place it on a really cool platter, and you can basically put candy where the little eye holes are. You could do chocolate syrup, marshmallows. You can do all kinds of stuff. If this is a savory bread, that would be fun. You could do like a cream cheese spread, goat cheese. You could do so many cool things in here. So I recommend this for parties. And honestly, even if it is in a brownie pan and it's not coming out, it's still really nice. You still get all the edges. People will know what it is. You can just, here it is, all served. You don't need to get all fancy with it. But, it's perfect because everything has a bit of an edge to it. I love brownie edges. It's got that skull shape, so it's perfect for Halloween and other creepy days, or really whenever you want. It's pretty fun. It requires, by the way, you cannot get away with one box mix. So that was something I ran into, and I had to panic, and I bought more brownie mix. So you do need about a box and 3/4, which was so frustrating. So it's almost 2 boxes worth in here, which is actually impressive. I was not anticipating this to take so much mix. So check this one out. This one is pretty cool. It is Wilton Skull. It's in the carousel, but it's definitely Wilton Skull cooking pan. So we'll move on to the other one that's kind of better. Like, it's not as spooky, but it's also Halloween themed. Hold on a second. So again, I had a brownie problem here. So you can tell that his little cheeks are kind of gone because I tried really hard to get him out of the pan. I was really hoping, because of all of the edges, this one in particular, I was like, this is perfect. It's got, every piece is almost like equidistant. Down here was someplace I was kind of concerned about that it would break, but it looks like a great brownie pan. I just did not have any success with it. Other people might. I just didn't. So it's really nice. Again, same kind of thing. You can put the different candies, syrups, marshmallows, really whatever your brain can think of. I think I'm being a little narrow-minded here. I'm sure there's a lot more. Chocolate chips. There's so many things you could put in this particular thing. Jams, lots of stuff. So this works pretty well as just an ordinary baking pan too, or just like if you wanted to serve this for brownies, you could totally do that. It wouldn't be a problem. But I really wished I did a cake mix, and then I was able to actually put it on a platter and put all of these cool things around it and surrounding it too. There's a lot of cool things you could definitely achieve here. I'm wondering if you can use this also as a way to, like, if you flip this over and you were trying to form, a shape, like a jack-o'-lantern shape as well, that would be super cool. So I would also check this one out if you're more of a jack-o'-lantern fan versus a skull fan. This one's a cool option. So let me move on to some other cool bakes. Let's see. Okay, so this one, these ones are super cool. I'm really excited. Okay. These ones, all right. These ones are really, really fun. So we have Tombstone baking pans, Nordic pans. So these are mini cakes. So it's actually called a Comestone cakelet. And you can see they're pretty detailed. So I was kind of worried that things would kind of break in these different cake pans just because of all of the details, like the little spider webbing. This is a beautiful ornate design. I was like, there's no way this is going to come out clean, but it does. Also, it's a little deceptive. It seems like it would be pretty, what's the word? Like deep, and it would take a lot of cake mix. It actually doesn't, but it's got the perfect shape where it stands up pretty well, and it's the perfect like serving size. So let me share with you the cake mixes that I did make with these. So I love the idea of making an entire scene here. So we have these amazing Tombstone baking pans, and this is how my red velvet actually turned out. It didn't break apart. I was very surprised. It's actually pretty solid. It did pretty well. I think one thing that would be really fun with this cake pan is if you wanted to create like a whole graveyard with it. So I also did this one. You can see that it kind of looks a little more worn. So it'd be fun to make a whole cemetery scene with this. You can, because it already looks all worn, it's all pocketed and pretty, yeah, the skull isn't quite there, but it's there. This would be really fun for a whole scene. You can add this to other baking stuff. And again, it's the perfect serving size for one person. Like this is just a perfect little cake, for one human. It makes it really easy to decorate because all of the little pop out shapes are there for you. You just need to take a little piping bag and just trace over it. It's super cool. And these actually turned out pretty well. I would recommend sticking with like cake mixes or even Rice Krispie treats for this particular cake mix baking sheet, just because there are so many ornate details. It would be really easy to rip things off or things would get stuck in the pan. So I wouldn't say a chocolate, like melting chocolate, would go really well with this. Plus, you can see the base is pretty thick. It might get stuck in there. So that's just a recommendation from me. But I like the idea of creating an entire scene with this baking pan. It's really, really cool. Super fun. So check this one out. This is also by Nordicware. Let's move on to something else. We have something a little more fall oriented. I gotta find it first. I am in baking crazy place. All right, so here we have another, I think this might be our last Nordicware baking pan, but it's pretty cool. It is the autumn version of the baking pans. We have pumpkins, we have leaves, we have acorns. It's pretty cute. This is more, I would say you can use this for all of, fall, September. I need a sip of coffee. Excuse me, I apologize. I'm still waking up over here. All right, so this is perfect. You can do multicolored stuff in here, which I actually kind of did. So one thing that's really fun with this bakingware is that it's actually kind of deep enough and I don't know, it had enough space where I was able to scoop. I actually had some red velvet cakes going and lemon cakes. So the fact that they didn't cross over into each other was kind of impressive. But also there's enough space where if you did want to do like some multicolored stuff, you could probably put like a little bit of, a strawberry cake and lemon cake and kind of like barely mix it together to get that really cool fall leaf effect. That would be super cool. And that's totally a thing that you could do with this baking tray. These are also going to last like a lifetime. They are super durable. They're super strong. I'm really impressed. But let me show you how these bakes actually turned out because they are pretty phenomenal and the detail actually stayed. So let me share that with you. Let's see. All right, so the one I wanted to share with you is actually my favorite, and my cakes are all blending together a little bit. So here is the leaf shape, which you can kind of see here. I'm impressed. It actually held the shape really, really well. You can see all of the little edges they're really defined. Again, this makes fall baking super fun. You can, if you're a teacher and you wanted to like share certain things with your kids, bake a bunch of cool fall cupcakes or whatever, these would be really fun options for you. And it's not quite as dark, and you can use it the entire time during fall, Thanksgiving as well. So it could be used, and these are also cool. Hold on a second. So we have shape like little pumpkin shapes. If you wanted to do a whole scene, so you could do a Thanksgiving scene, you could do even you could do a Halloween scene. You can bake one of these. You can make a full pumpkin, just glue them together and make a whole Halloween scene using this baking tray. It's pretty amazing. There's a lot of things you can do with this, and it doesn't have to just be fall baking. You can use it for so many different birthdays. Just getting creative with these cool, fun bakes. So check this out. I think that's all I've got for the Nordic bakingware. They are amazing, an amazing company. These last a lifetime. So if you're looking for some seriously heavy duty trays, check that company out. It's really cool. I'll go over everything again, but I'm going to finish what I got going on here. I think I have one more actual baking tray to share with you. So here it is. This is kind of a classic tray. So this is more for your sheet cakes. Clearly it's a cute little haunted house. You get the little ghosts popping out. It has these really cool indents, so it makes it really easy to just trace over with a piping bag. And you can do really whatever you want with this cake. It just makes it a lot easier to decorate. You could do, if you were wanting to, a gingerbread house. Unfortunately, you could only get one side, but it'd be fun to stand it up, maybe have like a backing here, and you can do like little gingerbread. You could put little candies on here. You can pipe everything. But I did bake a whole sheet cake with this pan. It did require two, I think, yes, it required 2 boxes of cake. I'm sure you probably could have guessed that with how big it is. So let me share with you what that actually turned out to be. So I baked a gluten-free cake, and because I'm gluten-free, the only problem with the gluten-free cake, and I didn't actually tag it in my carousel, unfortunately, but I used the Betty Crocker, their yellow cake mix. I've never used Betty Crocker's gluten-free cake mixes because usually I make my own cakes. I'm a little disappointed because it's kind of crumbly and mushy at the same. I don't even know how that's possible, but that's how it is. So I'm not a huge fan of the Betty Crocker yellow cake mix, just an FYI. That's just a freebie. But the cake itself actually turned out pretty well. I'm sure you guys can kind of see. I don't want to tilt it all the way up. You can kind of see how all of the designs turned out. It popped out super easy. It was a pretty amazing pan to just kind of get the entire sheet cake out. And again, I used the yellow cake so that it would be easy to kind of, like, I would probably decorate it with chocolate, like maybe pour some chocolate over it, and then I would probably do some more of that detailed frosting. Again, I think it'd be really fun to do like a gingerbread house style, having it placed up or down, whatever. It'd be like a big gingerbread cookie. This is a fun cake pan in general, and it's great for kids. It's a cool activity because a lot of kids love to, lots of kids love to bake, and they like to decorate fun little, cakes and whatnot. So these are just fun ideas for the holidays coming up. And if you just want to have some of these on hand for funsies, I really enjoy this. So I'll go over these again one more time because I have about a half an hour left. So I'm just going to share everything all over again. So the first thing that we did go over today were these tiny skull bites. These, again, super cool, great for multiple flavors, so you can actually have different varieties of different cakes going on. Kids are really picky, so it'd be nice to have more variety on the table. They actually turned out pretty well. You can kind of see the little details. It's hard because it is so small, but it did turn out pretty well in general. You can't really see the little teeth, or like in this actual pan, you'll see that there's cracks in the skulls, and every skull has just sometimes a little, like this one has like a little crack in it. But you can't really see that with some of the cakes. This would be great for chocolates. You could also use this for brownies. We can do Rice Krispie treats. We could do all kinds of stuff. Candy melts. This would be a really fun option, and it gives you the opportunity to have more diversity all across the table. You can do chocolate, red velvet, lemon, strawberry cakes, and just have different varieties of skulls with different colors. It'd be super cool. So I would recommend this, and it's it's really easy to bake. I didn't feel like, in my oven at least, because there's so much texture under here, I didn't feel like it was going to spill out of my oven and all over the place because it's a little more even than some of the other ones. But it is a pretty cool skullet baking tray, and it's Nordic ware. It's going to last forever. I'm going to go over everything that I've already gone over, but we're doing a second round here. So the other one that I talked about today, which is my favorite, is this massive skull cake. Super cool. It's meant to be sat up, you can tell. So here's where the neck would be flat. And then you can actually put these two things together to make one giant skull. And I've done that, and I can share the actual cake that I've made with you guys. But because it's so deep, I used two mixes. I used a lemon and a strawberry. I had my friends tell me what kind of cake mixes that they'd want. I did not intend for this to happen, but it ended up looking pretty fleshy, which was fine because we're dealing with a massive skull. You might be wondering why you'd ever want, aside from Halloween, why you'd ever want like a massive skull cake. And let me tell you why. You can use this for like a pirate party. You can use this for medical parties, anthropology parties. There's a lot of different uses. You just need to be a little creative, not just Halloween. That's a giveaway. Another thing that's cool about this is that it comes out flat and you have two different sides. You can actually scoop a little bit out of each side and you can fill it with candy. You can fill it with chocolate syrup and have it ooze out. It'd be super fun. When people cut open the cake. Let me show you what the cake actually turned out like, because I baked it, and it's pretty awesome. So hold on a second. It's going to take me a bit. It's heavy. Okay, so I did not frost them together because I did not have time for that. I just wanted to share with you what it actually looked like. What do you guys think? It's pretty cool, right? I love it. It's awesome. So again, you see how it's flat up here? I actually had to cut it with a knife. On the very top, I used the pan just to guide me. And that way we can actually get a flat surface to glue the two together and make a really cool skull. Obviously, there's so many ways of utilizing this. It's really heavy, by the way. It's a hefty cake. It's fun. And there's a lot of things you can really do with it. It comes out, I mean, it came out perfectly. So one thing to note too, I'm going to put this away real quick. It's falling. Okay, so one thing to note with this particular cake pan is that because it is so deep, it's not like a sheet pan. So some of the, this is an example of one of the boxes that I did use. It tells you to do 350. And I think what it's expecting is that you're actually using a flat cake pan. But because this is round, you want to reduce the heat down just a little bit so that you don't burn your cake. So that was something that I ended up doing, was turning it down to 325 instead of 350. And I covered it with aluminum foil and it didn't burn. It turned out perfectly. So that is one of my tips for this particular cake pan. And it's really fun, really cool, lots of different uses, and it's going to last a lifetime. And you're always going to be that friend with that skull cake pan that people are going to borrow from you. The next one is actually on Prime Day. It's a Prime Day special. It is these ones. They're like mini skull cakes. And so again, last forever. And these actually turned out pretty well. So let me show you guys what the cake looks like. So here we have an example of the cake that came out of it. You can actually see a lot of these details here. It's actually really, really amazing. You can even see like the indents for the teeth markings, the nose, the eyes. It looks really sinister and fun. So again, I'm going to say the same thing I did last time. So it's perfect for pirate parties, medical doctors, nursing students. We've got anthropology students, anybody that deals with humanity, forensics, for goodness sake. There's a lot of, You can be dark, you can be light. There's all kinds of ways to use these awesome cakelets. These actually, so these are a little deceptive. They look, so in the front, they don't look so like they hold a lot, but they actually hold quite a bit of cake. So the fun thing about Nordic ware, I'm just trying to get a little closer. You can see here, it says it holds 5 cups. That's really helpful because a lot of these will, because of how shapely everything is, we'll be sharing, I'll be sharing this one a little later. But, you know, just because there's 6 of each doesn't mean that they hold the exact same amount. So like this one holds 3 cups versus 5 cups. So keep that in mind when you are baking, and just make sure to look at that. It does help. I think I did go through kind of 2 boxes for this one, or at least a half a box and a full box. So but these turned out pretty awesome. These are really fun, and it's cool that these are on sale. Typically they're about $36, but now they're $24.14. It's a pretty good deal, and this will last forever, a whole lifetime. Heavy duty, super fun. You can use these for Rice Krispie treats. I would maybe try them with brownies. Some people have said that they've had success with brownies. I don't know if I would, because I've had a brownie catastrophe this week. Or you can use them for chocolate molds. They're really large, so you gotta really like chocolate. Or they could be decorative. Super fun. So check these ones out. The next one I'm going to show you is the brownie pan. Well, I used it for a brownie pan. It did not succeed. So here we go. I would love, so what I really wanted to do was because I thought they were flat enough, you can see, and maybe it was just this bake that I had, it just wasn't a successful bake. Maybe I was struggling with brownies in particular, but for this one, I was really hoping to do, really heavy duty brownies, and then being able to pipe on or decorate like sugar skulls for Dia de los Muertos. It's a really fun idea. And I like that you can there's just a lot of diversity. You can do like little marigolds here. You can do little spirals over here. Other kinds of flowers for another one. Mustaches on one. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this pan. Again, I like the pirate party. Maybe I need to do a pirate party. But I could totally see even utilizing this and placing some mini cakes into a big cake. There's skull and crossbones. You can do, again, all of the other things I've listed, doctors and anthropologists, forensics, all that stuff. Halloween, of course, you can do it for that. Zombie Monster Day, that could be another thing. Ash versus the Evil Dead, you could do that. There's so many ways of celebrating and utilizing these skull pans. It's super fun. I like these a lot because they are flat. They should come out pretty easily. Mine did not. And I'll share that with you real quick. So this is my only success story here with this particular skull pan, which I'm a little sad about. But you can still see the essence of the skull. It turned out okay, but I wish that it was a little more defined. It's fine. It'll be okay. So this one's a really fun baking pan. I do recommend it. It's really, it's pretty handy. Super cool. The next one, we're actually going to talk about this one real fast first, because they're both essentially the same. So these are both from Wilton. This is the jack-o'-lantern baking pan. I originally thought this would be really, really useful for brownies because you get all of the edges, and it would be fun to have like a really thick brownie, but then you could put like whipped cream here, or like some jam or candy or chocolate syrup. But I could not, as you can tell, get this out of the pan. I was really sad. So I do recommend using this particular pan for cakes. If you are more dexterous than I am, which you probably are, this would be a cool pan in general for brownies. This again is like more PG oriented, so it's not as scary as a skull. And you can use this for obviously for all of fall. You can use it for Halloween because you've got the little jack-o'-lantern. There's so many ways of decorating with this. You can do so many cool, fun things. It doesn't have to be sweet bakes either. It'd be cool to do a savory bake. You can just use the tray itself. If you were just like, I want a jack-o'-lantern shaped thing, like a cracker holder with some dips on the side or something, this would be a cool option. So there's a lot of different ways to utilize this. We also have I'll grab it real quick. We have here the Wilton Skull Cake Pan. So one thing to note is that these require around 2 boxes. So I used 1 box of brownie and it didn't do it. It didn't cover it enough. So I needed to get another box of brownie, which I was actually surprised about. And again, this could not come out. So I might have done it incorrectly. But again, it would be really cool to do brownies or cakes, having little candies, marshmallows, things like that in here, sauces. You could do savory. You could do really whatever you want. We decorated, Carrie and I, my other co-host, we popped this out, did a whole cake thing, and we decorated it and did a Dia de los Muertos skull. And I did a bunch of cool piping with some sprinkles, and it was really a fun activity. So think about your kids and what they want to do coming up to Halloween. There's some fun baking activities you guys can all do together, and also be indulgent and enjoy some awesome sweet treats or savory treats, whatever you want to do. So check these out. These are really fun to have on hand. I think, and they don't take up a whole lot of space. So I think even for smaller places, this wouldn't be a bad idea. So other things I want to share with you today, we have this. This is one of my favorites. I have something in my eye. I apologize. Okay, so this is one I think I think this is my favorite baking tray from the Nordicware series. These are tombstones, Nordicware. Again, super durable, super thick. I think this would be great to use Rice Krispie treats. You can spray them and make them look like gray or white and like worn down and made of stone with Rice Krispie treats. The cake mixes I used, some of them, they actually, because they're so airy and pocketed, they actually do look really worn down and like kind of crumbling. This would be fun to decorate a whole cake with, make an entire graveyard scene. You can just have these also stacked in a way where people can just grab their own little tombstone. You can decorate them separately, have different flavors. So these are deceptively, they look like they hold more batter than they actually do. These, so the bases are pretty thick, but when you come up towards the top, it's actually quite thin. I was surprised. So I kept over pouring on these ones. I did not mean to. It doesn't actually take that much. So let me see what it says here. I don't know if it says on this one. Oh, it does. Okay. It says it takes about 4.5 cups. And you can see on all of the Nordic Bakeware trays, they do place how many cups of batter or, that kind of thing all on the actual tray. So that's really helpful if you're trying to kind of navigate how much, if you're baking things from scratch, of course, that makes it a lot easier. But if you're buying different boxes, you don't want to overbuy or underbuy. So keep that in mind when you're doing all of your measurements. Here's an example of how they turned out. So I was kind of scared because there's so much detail in these. It's starting to fall apart a little bit, but here we go. You can see the cool spider right here. And it held its shape really, really well. I was actually very, very surprised. And here's another example. I used 2 different cake mixes. I used a German chocolate cake. This one didn't hold as well, but I like the worn out look that it provides. And it's still, you can still tell it is a tombstone. You've got the cool outside. It looks really fun. But I was really worried that it wasn't going to hold all of these shapes, because look at how ornate, like down here it is, or like, you know, all the webs over here, how that would rip apart. It actually held together pretty well. So check these out. Again, this is great for a zombie movie day. You can do this for Halloween, obviously. So many uses for these. They're so much fun. Plus, this one was really easy to just straight up bake in my oven. It didn't spill or anything because there's more base to it. Where some of these fancy shapely bakes, they tend to kind of get wobbly in the oven, unless if you have a flat surface, which I don't think anybody does. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can put a cookie sheet under it, but these were just really nice to just throw in there. So check that out. The next one is, I think, our last Nordic ware pan. So that one is, let me share it with you. This one's great, again, for teachers. It's fall time. You can use it for Thanksgiving and Halloween, all of fall, all of your fall celebrations. You've got Samhain. There's so many things you can do with these. I love the leaves, the pumpkins. You can actually decorate and make a full scene with the pumpkins if you wanted to. And the leaves are super cute. Let me show you what it actually turned out to be like. So these actually turned out pretty well. The shapes are pretty strong. Excuse some of the other crumbly bits. I did bake a lot, so there's a lot of different cakes that everything is mixed into. But one thing I was surprised at, one, these are pretty deep. Like, they hold a lot of batter. And because of that, it was really easy to kind of separate. So I did lemon, and then I did red velvet. So I was kind of worried that it would all blend together or mix or like spill into each other. It actually didn't. It was pretty awesome. And it holds together pretty well. The shapes are pretty spectacular. You can use these for Rice Krispie treats. Chocolates would be really fun if you wanted to do really big chocolates. You could use these to form, you could do bread even. I'm kind of hoping, I'm trying to do, I want to roll up some cinnamon rolls and try to stick them in here because they're already kind of rounded, and see what they kind of turn out like. That might be a crazy project, but I'm willing to try it out. It'd be fun. But this is great for all of fall, not just for Halloween, but for Thanksgiving too. And you can use this for all kinds of projects. You can use this as scenery for other cakes. So there's lots you can do with this particular cake pan. So then last cake pan I want to share with you today. This one was the last Nordic baking, and you should check out Nordic Baking or Bakeware. It is durable. It is amazing. It will last you a lifetime. You will never have to buy another pan again. It's just, they're solid. So I do recommend this company. Check it out. They've got a whole bunch of other shapes and sizes, things. It's really cool. But here's the last thing I'm going to share with you. We have, oh no, where is it? Okay. My house is full of baked goods. All right, so here we have the Haunted Mansion by Wilton. It's a classic. This is a little older, but it's great if you're just wanting a really fast sheet pan, a cake. You want to throw it together. Maybe you've got kids, and you know, maybe there's a a Halloween birthday party, or people want to come over and watch scary movies. You can quickly throw this together, pour some cake mix into this pan. This does require 2 boxes of cake mix. It's a lot of cake. But the cool thing about this particular pan is that what you can do with it is that it kind of does a lot of the work for you. You just need to use like a little piping bag, and you can basically trace everything out if you wanted to, make all of these really ornate designs, and you just trace over it and make it look all creepy and fun. The ghost popping out. You can have golden, shiny light in the windows if you wanted to. You've got a cute little bat in the attic. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. Another thing you could do is you can do, for kids, this would be a great opportunity to do kind of like a flat gingerbread house, kind of haunted house project. So you can actually glue little candies on there. That would be really fun. You could do, I mean, there's so many fun, adorable things you can do. Let me show you how it actually turned out. I used gluten-free cake mix. So unfortunately, in my carousel, I did not provide the cake mixes, but I did use the yellow gluten-free cake mix by Betty Crocker. It was not my favorite, but Betty Crocker usually does a great job, like with brownie mix. Excellent job. So let me share with you. Okay, I've had to travel with this for a lot, so I excuse that it's broken, but it kind of gives it a fun little shape to it. It's like the Tower card from Tarot. So here you can see all of the shapes turned out pretty well. Even though it's a giant cake pan, it actually popped out fairly easily. I was actually surprised. I only had to like knock on it 2 or 3 times, then it just popped right out. It cooks pretty evenly. I added some lemon to it because I wanted some lemon cake. Here I was talking about how this is kind of a gluten-free cake. You can see how it's kind of sandy and crumbly. It didn't hold very well, and that was disappointing, but it's still a pretty cool, solid cake pan. As you can see, it's pretty big. This will be really great for birthday parties, really easy to throw together, especially with the box mix. And it's really easy to decorate as well. I would pour some chocolate over it if you wanted it something super simple. Again, you can pipe things on here. You could do, Happy Halloween across the top of the house. There's so many ideas and things that you could use for this particular cake pan. I really like it. It's pretty fun. It's durable. Wilton does a really great job with their different cake pans as well. So I do recommend it. Check it out. So that concludes all of my different bakewares. We do have a few cookbooks in the carousel too. I did feature this cookbook. Let me see if I can find it. I might have put it away. So I did feature this particular cookbook, The Witch's Feast. I did put it away in my previous witchy essentials, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later, but it's more of a witchy book. I do have, though, the Hocus Pocus cookbook. This one's really fun for Halloween and for, obviously the Halloween season. So it's very cute. It's the unofficial Hocus Pocus cookbook. This one's on sale. It's 50% off. It's fun. This is great for 90s kids. Here's the table of contents here. Mostly it's not really Halloween-y, just the names are very Halloween-esque. So we have like a baked witch's casserole. Now this feels Halloween-y to me. Salty sweet caramel corn. That looks pretty tasty. We also have, here we go. Here's the gingerbread witch's house. And that's why I think it'd be really great to use that baking pan that I just shared with this. And then you can actually make it all caramely. You could see this adorable. I don't even know what this is. It's hilarious. But that you could use this particular recipe and use it in this cake pan to make a gingerbread witch's house and have your own Hocus Pocus party. We have popcorn balls. Oh, I don't know if I could handle the candy corn in this. I really don't. They have other things too. Clever little white witch chocolate chunk cookies. I think I would probably dig this too. This sounds really good. We also have different, see, like I said, these are more, here's bones of 100 chickens. This is obviously just chicken wings or chicken bones. And, that's fine with little witchy names. At least this book can inspire you to make like really fun naming dinners if you wanted to. It'll inspire you. Here's your life potion soup. Oh, here's a red velvet tombstone cake. You can use that red velvet recipe for any of those baking pans that I just showed, because that would be really awesome. Here we have delicious spider cupcakes. Those are cute. I love them. And one last thing. Ooh, Black Flame cocktail. So they do have cocktails in this cookbook as well. So check all of those out. Thank you so much for watching this live stream. If you do like dark, spooky things, make sure to stay tuned for other live streams and to give me a follow. We do this a lot. So if you're more on the dark side of the library, come join us and stay tuned for all of our streams. Thank you so much for tuning in.